The internet thought it was watching the biggest rap beef in a decade. But according to Chance the Rapper, the real battle wasn't between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. It was happening behind the screen. He says the feud was the very first time the general public finally started talking about something the industry had quietly used for years. Paid media, fake engagement, and armies of bots shaping public opinion. And suddenly, fans weren't asking, who won the battle? They were asking, who's paying for the comments? Who's paying for the numbers? Who's paying to look like they're winning? This is the story of how one rap beef cracked open the hidden world of social media manipulation and made regular people finally see the game for what it is. When the Kendrick versus Drake feud erupted, it didn't feel like just another rap beef. It felt historic. The energy, the intensity, the speed. Every hour, a new track, a new leak, a new layer added to the narrative. Social media platforms were on fire. TikTok was drowning in reaction videos, X was in meltdown mode, and YouTube numbers were skyrocketing beyond anything rap culture had seen in years. But beneath all the excitement, something weird was happening. On one side, fans were convinced Drake was still the biggest force in the game. His streaming numbers were massive, his comment sections were flooded with support, and his posts looked like they were receiving endless waves of positive engagement. On the other side, Kendrick supporters were pointing to the music itself, the surgical diss tracks, the cultural impact, the shifting momentum, and asking why the internet didn't seem to reflect what people were saying in real life. And this is when the cracks started to show. People noticed that comments under certain posts didn't sound real. Accounts with random names and no profile pictures were defending Drake in strangely repetitive ways. Some were attacking Kendrick with near-identical wording. Then others were suspiciously boosting Kendrick while attacking Drake in huge clusters. At first, it felt like typical fan war chaos. Then it became obvious. These weren't real fans. These weren't organic reactions. This was something else. And that's exactly what Chance the Rapper pointed out. According to Chance, this beef was different because it accidentally lifted the curtain on a system the music and marketing industries have been using for years. Paid media and botting to steer online sentiment. But before we get there, we need to understand how the feud itself created the perfect storm. Because the truth is, the rap beef wasn't just a music moment. It was a cultural event happening in an era where social media metrics feel like reality. Where likes, shares, and views are treated as truth. Where a viral post is often seen as more credible than the actual facts. When Drake and Kendrick started trading shots, the world wasn't just analyzing lyrics. They were analyzing numbers, streams, comments, retweets, memes, charts. It became a scoreboard, and everyone was trying to measure the winner through metrics. But here's the problem. What if the scoreboard was being manipulated? What if the numbers weren't what they seemed? This is exactly why the Kendall versus Drake beef broke the internet and exposed it. Fans started noticing. Comment sections filling up too fast. Duplicate phrases appearing across thousands of accounts. Bots spamming L or W depending on who they favored. Posts getting boosted suspiciously fast. Certain narratives echoing as if pushed by a coordinated campaign. It didn't feel natural. And for the first time ever, fans didn't brush it off. They started asking real questions. People who had never cared about bots before were talking about astroturfing, paid trends, boosted hashtags, and PR manipulation. It was like the world finally woke up to the reality that opinions can be bought, and have been for years. This was the beginning of a bigger conversation. One that would grow louder, more serious, and more revealing. Because the truth is, the music itself wasn't the only thing being judged. The public perception of the music was being engineered in real time. And fans had never seen it so clearly until now. Chance the Rapper didn't mince words. In his interview, he said something that shook the entire hip-hop discourse. The Kendrick and Drake beef was the first time that the general public started to have real discussions about paid media and botting. Not just botting views, but botting negative or positive sentiment. This wasn't a conspiracy theory. This wasn't fan speculation. This was an artist acknowledging something people had quietly whispered about for years. Numbers can be manufactured. Chance was pointing out something deeper, something the industry rarely admits publicly. That social media is no longer just a reflection of public opinion. It's a battleground where perception can be purchased. But what exactly does botting sentiment mean? It means you don't just buy fake views on a YouTube video or fake likes on an Instagram post. You buy the illusion of public support. You buy comments. You buy controversy. You buy criticism. You buy narratives. If you want the internet to think you're winning, there's a price. If you want people to think the other guy is losing, there's a price for that too. And during the Drake versus Kendrick feud, Chance says the general public saw it for the first time on a massive, undeniable scale. Let's break down how that looked. 1. Paid media campaigns. Certain posts, articles, or narratives appearing everywhere at once. Not because they were organic, but because they were promoted or strategically placed. 2. Bot comment farms. Accounts that weren't real humans, flooding conversations with repeated talking points, insults, praises, or specific narratives. 3. Sentiment manipulation. Artificial waves of positivity or negativity towards one artist. Sometimes subtle, sometimes aggressive. 4. Boosted hashtags. Trending topics that didn't feel like actual trends, but paid pushes amplified by automated accounts. 5. Fake engagement loops. Posts gaining thousands of likes or shares within minutes, even though the content didn't feel like it resonated with real users. Chance wasn't accusing a specific side. He wasn't saying Kendrick or Drake personally did it. He was pointing to the broader system that every major artist is affected by. Because the truth is, the music industry spends millions on digital marketing, and not all of it is clean. But for years, fans didn't care. They assumed the numbers were real and took everything at face value. The Drake versus Kendrick feud changed that. Chance said the public began to ask the right questions. Are these real reactions? Are these views organic? Are these articles being pushed for a reason? Who benefits from this narrative? Why does this comment section look so fake? It was like watching the internet suddenly develop critical thinking overnight. Fans who used to argue about lyrics were now arguing about algorithms. People who had never heard the term engagement farm were suddenly experts. Casual listeners became investigators. And everyone started realizing that social media isn't as honest as it looks. Chance's point was simple but powerful. For the first time, regular people realized that the internet can be bought, and often is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. After the dust settled from the Drake and Kendrick war, something unexpected remained. A smarter audience. People were no longer impressed by numbers alone. They weren't fooled by fake comment sections or suspicious boosts. They had started looking deeper, and that changed everything. This is what Chance the Rapper meant when he said the public finally began discussing bots and paid sentiment. Because now, fans weren't just consuming content. They were observing patterns. They noticed how certain narratives spread faster than they should have. They caught on to how specific accounts only existed to spark arguments or sway opinions. They learned how easy it is to manufacture public support. And this awareness didn't just affect Drake or Kendrick. It reshaped the entire landscape of how audiences interact with music and celebrity culture. Let's break down what changed. Fans became harder to manipulate. Before, you could drop a post, push some numbers, and watch the internet eat it up. Now, people question everything. They demand authenticity. They want receipts. They want transparency. They want reality, not marketing. Artists became more strategic. If fans can now detect paid engagement, artists have to be more careful. Genuine connections suddenly became more valuable than inflated metrics. Media outlets lost control of the narrative. The days when PR teams could push a headline and dominate discourse are fading. The audience is too aware, too informed, too skeptical. Reputation became more fragile. Once the public suspects manipulation, it creates distrust. And that sticks. Fans now hold artists to a new standard. Show us real impact, not manufactured hype. The culture began valuing authenticity again. Kendrick's raw, organic support stood out sharply against the suspicious noise online. For many fans, it reminded them of what real impact looks like. And here's the powerful twist. The Drake versus Kendrick beef unintentionally helped protect the culture. Because once people understood how bots and paid media work, they became better at recognizing when something is real and when it's artificial. Chance the Rapper's statement matters because it marks a turning point. Not just in hip-hop, not just in the music industry, but in how millions of everyday people view the internet itself. The public now knows the truth. Not every trend is real. Not every comment is human. Not every viral moment is organic. Not every opinion reflects the crowd. And not every victory online is earned. And in a world where perception is everything, learning this was the biggest win of all. The Drake versus Kendrick feud didn't just entertain us. It educated us. It exposed a hidden ecosystem of digital manipulation and made people aware of the invisible forces shaping what they see online. And thanks to voices like Chance the Rapper, the conversation has shifted. Fans are no longer passive consumers. They're informed, alert, and questioning everything. The beef may be over, but the awareness it created, that's here to stay. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation, so please share your opinions in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on this.